Welcome to the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs podcast, a place for podcasters to learn what's actually working in the world of podcasting and how to use their podcast to generate consistent leads in their business. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm so excited you're here. Savvies, welcome back to another episode of Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. I'm so happy that you're here and I can't wait to jump into the episode. So in today's episode, we're going to be addressing the question of, does my podcast need to be perfectly edited? And I think a huge reason why a lot of people put off starting a podcast in the first place is because they feel like every little thing needs to be absolutely perfect from the get-go. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. It doesn't need to be perfect all the time. And if you're expecting perfection from your podcast from the get-go, so from episode 1, then you're going to be really disappointed, because the thing is, we don't want our very first episode to have the same quality as our 100th episode and beyond, because that means you haven't experienced any growth along the way. And after 100 episodes, there should definitely be some growth. So we want to keep that in mind. Perfection is not necessary when it comes to podcasting. And I know personally for myself, my first few episodes of this podcast back in 2018 were a bit rough. If you want to go back and listen to those, they're not about podcasting, thankfully. But yeah, I was just coming into my own as a person, as a host, all that kind of stuff. So it's so nice to see my progress and how far I've come as both the host of the show within my solo and interview episodes. So my answer to this question is no, it doesn't need to be perfectly edited. You can definitely leave some filler words in there, as that makes it sound more natural and not overly edited and like robotic. But I definitely recommend adding on an intro and outro to your episodes, in addition to getting rid of any obvious mess ups throughout the episode. So if there's like a dog barking in the background or something, or like you clearly stumble over your words, or you have to start over for some reason, definitely get rid of that, because we don't want it to be like unlistenable, but it doesn't need to be perfect either. Because if you take out every single like, and things of that sort, any sort of filler word, it makes it sound super weird and robotic. So that's not great either. And I don't suggest leaving every single filler word in there either, because that can sound unpolished. So definitely remove some of the filler words, but like I said, just you don't have to remove every single filler word that comes out of anyone's mouth. And I know other podcast strategists may not agree with me here, but personally, I would rather you get your podcast out into the world and start helping people with your content than sit around for months or years being hung up on having a perfect podcast and just perfection in general. So that's my take on it. I know it's kind of a hot take because a lot of people probably don't agree with me, but for me, I think it's just key for you guys to be able to get your show out into the world versus worrying about perfection, because perfection will hold you back from so much in life if you let it. So I don't think your podcast is the place to let that happen. So tell me, what is your stance on editing? Are you an edit out everything kind of person? Or do you prefer to sound a little more natural and have some ums and likes and ahs and pauses and things like that? I'd love to know your thoughts. Shoot me a DM on Instagram to jenny.sunnison. So that's JENNY _Sunnison, SUNESON. And let me know your thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. I always love connecting with you guys in the DM. So feel free to chat with me over there. But yeah, that is it for today's quick little episode. You can find the show notes at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com, and I will see you guys in next week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher, and leave a review. You can find us at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com and on Facebook at Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs and Instagram at Savvy Podcasting. Make sure to join our free Facebook community for podcasters by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/community and join in on the exclusive community just for Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs listeners. I'll see you there.